voice. There we go. Material information and presentation is for educational or entertainment purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice or recommendations. Any and all statements made on this channel are the sole opinions of Options Millionaire channel and should not be taken as financial advice. No financial decision should be made based on this material shown. Trading futures, equities, and options involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. An investor could potentially lose all or more of the initial investment. Risk capital is money that can be lost without jeopardizing one's financial security or lifestyle. Only risk capital should be used for trading, and only those with sufficient risk capital should consider trading. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Trading is one of the most difficult tasks one can undertake and must be approached with extreme caution. Do not invest any money you can't afford to lose. Sweet. All right, let's do it. So we've had a pretty crazy day. And oh crap, just like that, I have a phone call I have to answer. Real quick, I'll be quick. All right, sorry about that. I had to take a call real quick. So we've got some great movement here. Obviously, it's a nice little trend up from 43.05 to 43.55, 50 points, and yeah, it's been good. From here, we're figuring out where to go from here. So the GEX today has shifted up to 430. You see the liquidity has shifted upwards into 43.60. They've taken that off, but they've also put on this 43.70 guy way up top here. In terms of the market structure, we've bounced off the volume profile 4370 area yesterday, which was a beautiful representation of the volume at price nodes. So from there, obviously the bulls have taken control back into 4350. We haven't yet attacked the morning or the weekly high yet, which is still 50 points up from here. Don't know if we'll get up that high. You know, this is a great little move up, and now we're kind of coming on back down to take a little profit off. Going from there, I had some beautiful calls up there. I closed out for over 100%. Right now I'm back to flat, no trades. And we're going to watch the afternoon session. We're going to watch the afternoon session here. Patience has been treating me very well this week. How much did I pay my computer guy for the build? We traded services. So he came over and helped me. He brought everything over and we helped to build it together. So he showed me how to do everything. Second. All right, sorry about that. So now we have a test, quick test of the prior pivot. We just bounced off of it, bottom wick, which is nice. They are stacking liquidity higher. In my honest opinion, it might be worth putting on a bit of a low cost, low risk play to the upside here. Possibly 43.55 and 43.70 is looking like they're piling back on here. This looks like a refresh up into that area. And looking at the GEX levels here, which I want to continue to look, hit refresh. But the fact that they are stacking liquidity higher and higher bodes well for upsides into the afternoon session. So right now the GEX is about 429. They just bottom wicked off to a very interesting pivot. And from there, we'll be looking. Would you say 2,400 is a good price? I paid more than that for everything. Of course, I got a pretty beefy setup, and at the time, video cards were outrageous. I think I paid nearly $1,000 for just the video card alone. But that was in the prime of and extremely high prices. But for 2,400, that sounds about right for a beefy setup. I know nothing about that stuff. So CVD is very green, 21.5. Been trickling off with this little bit of a dip. But what I want to do here is track how the buyers interpret this little sell-off back down and come back up. Stop loss candles are aggressive, for sure. So in terms of this morning, this was a very interesting VPA move right here. So we had the absorption. We had the buyers come up into prior pivot, which this was a very strong pivot for weeks prior. Also, this move yesterday hit the largest node on the daily profile. Overall, my overall target for this move is about 42.40, but 42.70 began the node for the volume profile on the top of the consolidation range from back in April and May. Remember when we spent those 2 months in those areas? We came down, tapped it, gave a little VPA bottom wick, rocketed, sold some off, and we went flat. So this prior pivot here is where we kind of fizzled out, and it's been there all night long. And then today we came up into it and absorbed, and this was the buyers conducting their auction to absorb all the selling price action. Once we figured out there wasn't any sellers left, we blasted. Once I saw the blast that we released, that's where I entered, rode the call up, and here we are trying to build back. Until then, the Bookmap liquidity is showing higher. We have 43.65, 43.70. You see this spoof at 43.80 and then 43.55. Still holding 43.42. All right, so we'll have to get through the afternoon stuff, or the early afternoon, I should say, and coming on down to lower levels. They're doubling down on 43.65. They shifted that down from 43.70 down to 43.65. So in this area where we're building the structure for the afternoon, the past couple of weeks we've had big moves in the afternoon, not so much in the morning. The afternoon has been very good to us. And from here, they've got 43.30 on the bottom and then 43.65 up top. So I want to see how they start to fill this stuff out. If they start continuing to build the book up top and skew it, then I'll be looking for a late day rally upwards. Am I going long on anything? Yeah, I took a call earlier this morning. I'm currently in nothing. I'm flat at the moment, and I'm looking for the afternoon. I took a 4,300 call on the break of this move right here. So watch this interesting liquidity. In terms of downside liquidity, they are building 42.85. Overall macro, there's a ton of liquidity lower. From a macro perspective, zoomed out, there's a bunch lower. They've been building it all week, and it's still there. 42.50, 42.92, 42.80, 42.85, and 42.70. On down, not too much on further on down. 41.50 is building, but that's pretty small potato stuff. So everything is in this mid 4,200 area, which is what we would expect to see based on the volume profile. 42.40 is the big dog level on the daily chart, and we continue to return back to it. We spent 2 months there back in the spring. So potential for that to move down. Here we've got 42.63 as the top level from a micro perspective, and then zooming out to the upside, we've got 4,400, 44.15, 43.80. I only have one trade left today. I have to make a count. Playing small after nice trades in the run-up. Nice. Still nothing. We want to be patient here. I don't want to fight this chop until we move. That's solid. Does this kind of squeeze usually keep on going for a few days? Well, you have to think about the macro trend and where it's at. Right now, the macro trend is strong down. And I'm very careful to call reversal and trend up right out of the top, because usually, or right out of the bottom, because it's usually not a complete V on the daily. Usually there's a bit of a liquidity grab higher, come back down, retest, and then break out if that is the case. Now, that doesn't mean we can't go green for a few days, and especially end of quarter, end of week, end of month, end of fiscal year, which is tomorrow. That certainly can happen, especially with all the in-the-money puts that need to roll off the books, and with all the GEX exposure, or the exposure way up from here, 435, 436, 437 on SPY, which is obviously, 8 to 10 points higher. So it's very possible. I just don't know how they're going to roll this thing. They can go either way here. So you're welcome, Annie. You're very welcome. How low is a reasonable percentage loss on a play for stops? 5 out of 6 calls stopped out with that quick drop prior to the run-up, but one call will load 60%. Well, it depends on what expiration. Depends on your expiration. If you are doing zeros, then you've got to let it breathe. I mean, if you're going to take the risk of trading short-dated options like a zero, then you've got to let it breathe 20, 30%. Obviously within reason. If you're doing longer-term trades, you could set stops, 10% or so, 15%. But it depends. For example, this morning on my call, once I secured 85% of my position at 102%. So meaning that I had rolled off 85% of my trade, leaving 15% of it on at the very top. And I moved my stop up to about 75% profit. So meaning that I was willing to give back about 25 to 30% of profit on the remaining contracts before it stopped out. So it depends. If I'm deeply profitable, then I'll just move my stop somewhere where I'm happy with the returns. And if I'm not, then I'm going to set it about 25 to 30% stop loss on my 0DT contracts. All that, of course, is depending on the type of day we're in, the environment we're in, the structure I'm seeing on the order flow. Hey there, new. Really don't know anything about options, but I like your voice. Thanks, Ed. Appreciate it. Let me know if you have any questions. What's up, David? How you doing, buddy? It seems to me the market is front-running the dip buying. Usually we drop in the last day of September seasonal. Potentially. I'm very curious. Like what I told my members yesterday is that I do expect the last 2 days of this week to be fun. And I didn't know which way. I was certain we were going to trend, but I don't know which way. Today is obviously very green, and we'll see what happens tomorrow. Smooth Jazz DJ Station. Welcome to WAM Late Night, your one-stop shop for all things jazz. Thanks, Sandeep. Does Gex or Flow show something? Right now, nothing. Isn't the Fed talking right now? Not yet. We have JPAL coming out to do his Q&A at the close of business today. I don't expect too much to come from that because it's just an open Q&A. He's not going to say anything we don't already know or hear. At least I would be highly surprised if he did drop a bombshell on us. He's like, oh yeah, I know we're in a jabroni Q&A conference here, but hey, we're going to hike 50 basis points next week. I doubt he's going to say anything like that. However, he is talking, and we want to be aware of that. What's up, Shane? Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you hanging out. Do I answer any question in general or just about the SPX stuff going on now? Because I got some questions about options. No, I'll ask anything. As long as we're not making a move and I need to concentrate on something, I'll be happy to ask any general questions, even if it's not about Bookmap or something. All I'm doing right now is gathering data. We're in the middle of the afternoon lull. I believe that lull will kick off at about 1300 Central, 1400 Eastern. And right now I want to track the order book and the options chain activity to determine where the market is pointing towards. Right now the skew is north, 43.65 after a retest of a pretty intense pivot. This pivot right here on the market is a very large one. So, awesome. Thanks so much. Set 1 DTE, 8 DT with a 5% loss. One contract didn't stop out. There you go. Beautiful. I figured this would be a good time to announce I just don't care anymore. Yeah. If you really want to learn how to trade, make this career, join his Discord. Hands down the most underrated and unappreciated real trader. Thanks. Thanks, Louis. I appreciate that. Y'all support is awesome, man. It's good stuff. Anywhere I can help. Still holding 43.41. We have taken our Iron Condor this week. It's our first Iron Condor we've taken since July. I've kind of put the brakes on them the past couple of weeks, but I took one this week. Did very well on it. It was a very good entries. That's part of the Tier 2 program. Just a way to drive a little bit extra income. You're not swinging for the fences on them, obviously, but if you can grab a couple $100, couple of $1,000, you can augment your income for the week. I can share those. I'll share those entries with with the public there once the week wraps up. Although I'm already closed out, I guess I could show you. But 43.42. We're still pinned flat, as you can see. I'll zoom in a little bit. And we're building up top. If L is here and listening, then maybe a good time to throw on one of your famous plays. Am I thinking up this week? I don't know. I think volatility. And if you notice this week, this morning was the highest IV of the year, the highest non-event IV of the year, which means not on an FOMC. It was 31% at the open on SPX. So the market is pricing in a move. And we'll see. Tomorrow, let's take a look at tomorrow's IV, the 29th, which is 22%. So it's elevated for tomorrow as well. And premiums are $22 at the money. So the market's pricing in a move. And I know we're going to trend. I just don't know which way. Like, the market could do anything. There is arguments here from my stance on upside, on both upside and downside. However, I'll tell you, if the green holds up here, the VPA favors the bulls tomorrow. All that to say is I don't know, because right now the Treasury market is so much in control that if the Treasury market dumps again tomorrow, like it did this morning, then we're not going to be able to rally. Not until the inversion trade. Once the inversion happens, those will decouple and we'll have some inversion. But not yet. Question, what's up, Maddie? Whenever Powell speaks, do you care more about what he says or more about the charts? More about the charts. Yeah, pretty much what he says is the same thing he's been saying for the past 18 months, so you can't really listen to his words. Not to mention, if that's the style of trading you're doing, the move is going to be made before you hear it in your ears anyway. So I've got a really small account, and up until now I've been buying SPY options at 0 DTE, which I've gotten lucky with. I've never known whether to buy a call or put at the money or in the money. Well, I mean, there's a lot to unpack there. You know, there's not any one direction. I would encourage you to get away from short-dated options unless you've got some experience. In my opinion, short-dated options are only for experienced people. If you're still learning, one bad mistake and you're just going to get smoked, especially if you're over positioning. So I would go with at least weeklies, if not multi-weekly or monthly contracts, or just go with shares anyway. I started my career on shares. I didn't start my career with options because the whole point of learning is not to grow money. It's to learn process. It's to learn the market, to get reps in, and you can't do that if you continuously blow up accounts. Buying shares will allow you a lot of margin of error and allow you to get you reps in without getting destroyed. And then as you get better at this, as you develop a track record and a consistent winning, then you can start building into options and then short-dated options and futures and then writing premium, and then the world opens up to you. That's my advice, is stay away from options in general or extremely long-dated options. I know some guys in this community have very big accounts. How do you feel about those guys listening to you? It's pretty awesome. You know, there's guys in here that have far larger accounts than I do. And it's humbling, you know, if they trust me with, you know, obviously they've got their own opinions if they've got, you know, right and correct opinions too if they've got the account of that size. But it's awesome. Is it worth me selling calls up here? Depending on the expiration. Long dated expiration? Yeah, I would say so. Is it 1 DTE expiration? I wouldn't risk it just in case tomorrow was a big pop. Still holding. Obviously, we're in a very tight range, 43, 4 or 5 point range here. VIX is holding 1741. Forty-three, 41, still building higher. Now they're building 43.50. So this is what I'm looking for. Where are they going to start building orders? Because what I want to do, if they are building skew higher, then I would look for a liquidity grab to gobble up some shares and then move higher, if that's the case. And that's what I want to pay attention to here. Just be patient till the afternoon. That's my goal now. It's extremely green CVD. Let's take a look at NASDAQ too. NASDAQ is building a little bit south, 14,837. They spoofed this guy down here. 14,950. They're building 15,000 as well. A little bit of red. $43.88.25. Any new GEX data? No. It hasn't really rolled just yet. Let me see what premiums are trading for right now. On the 28th, 0 DTE premiums are going for about $8 to $10 at the money here, 28% IV. Calls are slightly, no, puts are elevated. Man, 20% elevated. Yeah, puts right now are about 20% higher than calls, if not more, probably 30%, just doing quick math in my head. Not sure you saw this. What makes R3's level significant? R3 is significant due to prior pivots and options chain data. So for that 428 area is a very, it's got a lot of pivots in the past. Not to mention, just because of absorption, obviously we have a lot of pivots in 4.28, but we've had so much absorption there that I can't count that as significant. Not on the short term, at least. Coming on down, 43.32. GEX data, 428, 429, 427. Bottom wicking again, that's the same point where we bottom wicked. They added liquidity 43.30. They took off the upside stuff, so now they're removing the upside potential, removing this order flow right here. They put on 43.32. GEX data now is showing 428, 427, and a little bit of red. Where do you see those elevations? Which one? Nice little move down. Apple's coming off. Amazon has not yet come off. XLF is dropping pretty hard. And Microsoft is coming off a little bit. What else we have? Let's look around the market. XLK is dropping. V is dropping. C, F, Y. All of the X's. XL Energy. Energy's getting smoked right now. New low of the day for Energy. All red coming off. And that was about a what? A 10, 11, 12 point move down. So let's see what they do with this. Nice little move. Yeah, they removed all the upper liquidity. See, it wasn't just one level either. You see, all of this they took off. So now there's no real upside liquidity left. They took it all off. Added the 30, added the 15. Is there any platform you recommend to watch options? I personally use IBKR, but there's a bunch of them out there you can do it. Webull was a pretty good one if you just want to monitor options data. E-Trade, great. All right, man, this thing's looking heavy. 43.30. 42.95. Let's see what they're doing here. Ooh, punching down even more. Look at that. All right. 43.32. Watch out for 43.30 liquidity. Now they're starting to make a move lower. $43.29. They've got about 300 orders there. Microsoft is punching lower. XLF is punching lower. Check out the morning high. If they're going to pivot that, that's the next level. Morning high, 427.26 on SPY at about 43.28. What is that? 43.25 on puts. Adding 43.15 as well. So the morning high, watch that level. 43.25.25 on ES. That's the first hour high right there. If they were to bring this all the way back down, I would look for a bounce there. Liquidity at 43.30. Remove that completely. I'm going to small put nor stop 433. Nice juice box. Still coming off. Now they're adding more liquidity, or they're shifting that upwards to 420, 43.20. This market is made of paper mache. Yeah. It's a big movement. Today's a day of volatility so far. And so far it's living up to the hype. Microsoft top wick moving lower. Shifting down into 43.30. So the momentum now has shifted temporarily to the downside. With 43.30, here's the main liquidity. 43.25 is the high morning high, which is also where the session volume profile is. The yellow line. Right there. A little bit of green, 43.33. Putting on liquidity back up. From a VPA, that was a high volume spike. It was the highest volume candle we've had since 2 hours ago. And there was a decent amount of buyers in that candle. If you looked at the 1 minute chart, about 40, I would say, roughly half of that red candle is buyers right here. So buyers hit that. What I mean is, like, if that's the 5 minute, let's go to the 1 minute. And that was the 12:30 candle. So the buyers hit it. Nice juice box. Thanks for showing the zoomed out screen. There you go. You're welcome. VWAP test if you're into that. There you go. Forward 43.26. Liquidity grab. That's what that looks like. We stopped out about 880 orders. They still haven't put on any major liquidity up top, but that is a strong, immediate response by the buyers, which has all the signs of the liquidity grab if they hold it. I would love to see if this touch right here. That would be more of a higher confidence level to enter a long call, because that's the morning high pivot. $43.46. Yeah, so liquidity grabs are, the market can't move in a straight line up or down. It can't just keep rocketing and it can't keep selling. So even on a trend up, you're going to have small retracements to grab more. You have to accumulate more shares to move higher. Accumulate more shares, move higher. Accumulate more shares, move higher. And that's so far what this appears. We've got an immediate bullish response on a strong volume move up. Now, I would love to see 43.25 to get that a little bit higher confidence, but we'll see. I don't know if that's what that is yet so far. I need to wait for the candle close. It has the signs of it, but the candle still closes here in 2 minutes. $43.35. Watch right here. Watch the CVD and the 43.20 liquidity. The session range volume profile here is the morning high, same level. That's not what that is, but it's the same level as the morning high is what I'm saying. Do you know if candle counter is available on Thinkorswim? I do not know. I don't use Thinkorswim. Somebody else can answer that question. So watch the volume. We still have buyers holding 44.28. $43.30 is the level here. Watch for the 43.25 tap. And now just for S's and G's, I'm not saying this is going to happen, nor do I expect this, but if they were to give back this red day, tomorrow will be a substantially red day. Just saying. If we were to take back 4,300 a day, which I don't expect, substantially red day tomorrow. That's all I'm saying. 43.30 right here. How do the sellers deal with this? Watch for the move. 43.31. They're building in more liquidity here, so that's a failure of the bottom wick. They're building on more structure right here in a 43.27. I would love a 43.25 tap. Can we get it, though, is the question. Can we get it? Still holding. Let's move down as market correlated. Yeah. How do you know if it's just a touch to enter and not going to continue through? Well, right now it's just constantly watching, We have the market-wide data, which is all about kind of trickling off here. Obviously, the buyers are bottom wicking 43.30 here without transacting through 43.30. We need to watch the volume, how the volume enters. You know, if the buyers can't come off this level, then that means that we're not ready yet. We'll transact a touch lower, conduct auction, and figure out where to go. I would love for that to be 43.25 because those are the higher confidence stuff. But that's obviously a wish list. I don't know that we don't know if that's going to happen yet. That would be the session range volume profile, so it's a likely spot for the sellers to retrace this too. Here's another attempt at 43.30. A little bit of sell pressure coming in. Watch the big bubbles for absorption to absorb these levels. If we can absorb through 30, then we'll obviously 27, and then we'll get our 25 touch. And there we will know what the intent of this market is. Boom, plowed. Liquidity bill below price does not indicate a push up or down, does it? Not necessarily. It's not as simple as that in my opinion. In my opinion, it's all about what the entire picture is painting. It's not about any one level. It's about the market, the entire order book in general. That's what I try to do is paint try to be like Bob Ross here. I try to paint a picture. Right now we've got some crazy levels down here, 43.30. And we're punching lower. 43.29. We just ate up that liquidity. They're putting on 43.20 down south. And things are looking kind of nice here. So, now look where they're putting the next liquidity level, right at the session range volume profile. 43.25, it's also the morning high. That would be a great place to bounce. If we were going to bounce, that would be a great place. I would love to get down there. Yeah, don't go chasing waterfalls. Love it. They're obviously stacking the book up and down. How does it get those broken lines? You add the session range volume profile indicator. Great, that song's in my head now. That song's been in my head since like 1994. So I feel you. Still can't get through. Big green move back up. Still not enough sellers yet. $43.34. That was a 4-point little retracement. It's not for the faint of heart. I passed 8 accounts this week, just waiting for the big level on Bookmap and taking a large position. Nice. Beautiful, Wilson. Well done. That's a big move right there, so relative to what we have. Just transacted at 43.30 and pop right up to 43.35. They're still adding lower, so there's liquidity all over the place. We have 40, we have 21. They took off all this stuff up top here. The 65 guy is gone. He went to lunch. They've got 40 on. Let's go to the 15. So the 15-minute just closed 2 minutes ago. High volume spike. There was a lot of buyers and sellers mixed up in that candle. So far, the buyers are winning. Session range volume profile. Yep. SRVP. Cal. Sweet. I just got a 20% off coupon for a ski jacket. Don't fight the price action. That's right. That's right. Still holding 43.35. We have 12 minutes at the top of the hour. That's when I believe we'll get a good move here. Typically, it happens at the top of the hour. What are my hobbies? Skiing, fitness, family, throwing the ball with my kids, which is awesome. Sports in general. The trend is your friend until it takes your lunch money. There you go. Chopping down trees, yeah, being outdoors. Nice little green here, holding up, 428.33. So I was really hoping to get 43.25. That would be fantastic. But looks like the Bulls are about to take this back. We'll see. When am I going to start being a money manager? Never. Never. You know how much crazies and hate I deal with on a daily basis? Just helping people out, not even touching your money. If I start actually handling people's money, the crazies come out of the woodwork. I'm out. $43.36. This is making higher lows. Is it a trend change? I need to take out this prior candle. Right here. Now they've got liquidity coming on and off. They've shifted everything off here. They've put back on 43.40. You still have these cats coming on here. I'd like to see this candle being taken out and held, and we'll start playing our way back up here. All that to say, I am right now in my low volume, the time frame pause. So I'm waiting for my get through this morning, this late morning, early afternoon session, and then we'll start popping off in the afternoon. Am I going to come back on after Bookmap if we get some movement? Yeah. Which I do think we will. So most likely, yes. Are the interactive broker algos good for Phil's SPX? They've always treated me good. Yeah. If we ride up by the end of the day, do you think we'll continue tomorrow? There's no reason to think we won't. Honestly, I have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow. I think trend, yes, but it depends on today's close. A little bit of red coming off top wick. Just wondering where JP Morgan put their collar on. Have they rolled it yet? I haven't seen it. Has anyone had an indication of rolling it? I haven't even checked the chain yet. $43.33 coming back down. Oh, man. Top of the hour in 7 minutes. I promise me stacks on stacks. Yeah. It's early. The day's early. The afternoon approaches. Uranium just went rocket ship, apparently. Never traded uranium. Well, we have now been here for half an hour at 43.33. Oh, yeah, that's the prior one to Dan. I thought you meant the next one. Yeah. True. Still holding 43.33. We have 3.5 minutes till the top of the hour. Watch out for the 43.30 liquidity. Papa J's about to release the speech. Yeah, a couple hours. For sure. Can we say we hit close enough to 42.10 puts? For the week, maybe. What's my favorite cut of steak? Filet, medium rare. I like a leaner steak. I know some people prefer ribeyes. I prefer a leaner steak. I don't like all the gristle of a ribeye. All the ribeyes are delicious, don't get me wrong. Today's a Q&A. Yeah, on the Q&A. You're dead to me now. Don't get me wrong, I love ribeyes. Trust me. Alright, still hanging out smack dab in the middle of this micro range after a shift down. So let's go to the 15. Top wick on the 15 still. 15 closes in 2 minutes. Do I like anything on the fillet? Nope. Salt and pepper, that's it. Salt and pepper. What if I would have said A1 sauce? What would y'all would have done? I lose respect for you if you have A1 sauce. I'm sorry. If you're over the age of like 9 or 8, nah, bro. Unsubscribe. Yeah. A little bit of butter, yeah. Butter's good too. As you're cooking, obviously. Yeah, good stuff. All right, y'all. We are coming up on the top of the hour, which means I will have to log it off. Right now, what I'm seeing is I was watching for 34.60 for 43.65. They removed that. They stacked on 43.30 while removing pretty much all upper liquidity. They've even trimmed 43.40 down to pretty much nothing. The only thing left is 43.30. So as we hang up this stream and go forth into the next hour, which I do expect a move to occur, just keep focusing on where they're putting liquidity here. 43.25 would be a great pivot area. We haven't gotten down there. They're defending 43.28, 29. But right now, the biggest liquidity is 43.30. In terms of GEX, I'll hit one more refresh. Everything's 427, 428. It's all 427, 428. So there it is, top of the hour. All right, y'all. Appreciate y'all taking the time to watch the stream. Come out and join us next Thursday, 1 p.m., 12 p.m. Central Time. We also stream on our Discord every Monday, Wednesday, Friday from market open till roughly 11:30. So hope you have a good rest of the day. Please maintain position sizing, be safe, expect nothing, and watch the liquidity flows. Love you all. I'm out. See ya!